Okay, let's do a review on the 1961 New York Yankees. Let's get started with the top of the order. 1-2 in the lineup every day, according to the Strat-O-Matic book. Bobby Richardson leading off at second base. Tony Kubek hitting second at shortstop. Let's take a look at their on-base chance numbers. And these are not good numbers that you want to see at the top of your order. And these are numbers that are going to play into the overall offensive score, which I will give you later on. Now, let's take a look at your three hitter, Roger Maris. I'm going to show you his hits with multiple base advancement. You see those numbers right there. Couple of ballpark effect home runs, just like every other player has. There are a couple of opportunities from each side of the plate for ballpark effect home runs. The one thing that was a little bit surprising was checking the Strat-O-Matic book. The home run effect for a left-handed hitter for 1961 Yankee Stadium on a D20 is only 1-10. That was very surprising when I saw that. Now let's take a look at your cleanup guy, Mickey Mantle. I want to show you all of his numbers, his on-base chances, and his hits with multiple base advancement. And these are numbers that were really, really needed, especially his on-base chance numbers there, because you've got 1-2 in the lineup with Richardson and Kubek that are just not effective at all at getting on base. Um, I wish the hits with multiple base advancement were a little bit higher for Maris and Mantle, but you'll still take them depending upon what you get out of everyone else in your order. Now, let's take a look at the first baseman, Bill Skowron. Moose hit fifth against left-handed pitching and sixth against right-handed pitching, according to the Strat-O-Matic book. And you could see he's very consistent. Facing lefties and righties with driving runners in. So you like that right there. Let's take a look at the left field platoon. You have Hector Lopez playing against lefties and Yogi Berra playing against righties. Let's see their hits with multiple base advancement. Those are um, not great numbers, especially out of Lopez. Wish Yogi's numbers were a little bit higher. Let me show you the everyday catcher, Elston Howard. I'm going to show you all of his numbers. And this is really the card that actually saves the 1961 Yankee lineup. And I know when you probably saw the title of the video and you hear anyone talk about 1961 New York Yankees, the first thing you're going to think about is obviously Maris and Mantle and what they did that year. But as far as the Strat-O-Matic team goes, this is a saving grace on the 1961 Yankees. It's Elston Howard's card. First, let's take a look at his on base chances. And now we're going to see his hits with multiple base advancement. This was a card that was really, really much needed in this Yankee lineup. And it really balances out the rest of the lineup. As we look at the 1961 Yankees offense as a whole, you're going to see that they grade out at a very good score of a 4 out of 5. And they are very lucky that the middle of the order, especially rounded out with guys like Scowen and Elston Howard, giving you the numbers that they give you, basically hitting 5, 6, maybe even seventh in the order. And you have a nice righty lefty mix and depth in the order. Maris lefty, Mantle obviously switch, Elston Howard righty. So you do have a nice mix in the order. So the offense grades out at a 4 out of 5, as I gave them a 4.5 for the middle of the order. Righty lefty mix depth, I gave them a perfect score of a 5 out of 5. On base percentage was not good though. At best, the on base percentage is just average, and that's driven by what you get out of a guy like Mantle, who you could hit third or fourth in the order. You can move him around. In fact, I would even drop a suggestion if you are playing with the 1961 Yankees, I would just hit Mantle leadoff because he's so good at getting on base. Why not? So let's move on to the defense. Let's start up the middle as we always do. Bobby Richardson, Tony Kubek. No issues here when you have a 1 and a 2 at shortstop. I'll hit on the E rating at shortstop later on. Now let's take a look at the outfield. These are basically your 4 outfielders who would play on a daily basis. You have the platoon in left with Lopez and Berra, and you got Mantle and Maris in center and right, respectively. So no real big issues in the outfield. The E rating is a little bit troublesome, however. You do have a very high E rating at shortstop. And the E rating at first base is a little bit high. I just don't like seeing double digit E ratings at first base. I like keeping them in single digits as much as I can. What is a saving grace about the corner infield, however, is you are very, very good at third base with Clete Boyer. Both his one grade and his E21. Those are both excellent, excellent ratings right there. The E ratings in the outfield check out pretty good. So overall, I gave the 1961 Yankees an E rating score of a 3.1 out of 5. And the total defensive score for the 1961 Strat-O-Matic Yankees comes out still at a very good score, 4.03 out of 5. So let's move on to the starting rotation. The Strat-O-Matic book has the top four starters listed: Whitey Ford, Bud Daly, Ralph Terry, and Bill Stafford. So those are the numbers that I'm going to show you. And you could see Daly's numbers are just way, way, way too high. Bill Stafford, in my opinion, actually has the second best card on the staff behind Whitey Ford. So if you're sitting down to play like a best of 5 or a best of 7, I would definitely use Bill Stafford as your number 2. I'm going to speak on a guy later on when I talk about the bullpen who did have over 20 starts with the 1961 Yankees, and you could put him in your rotation, but I think he has a little more value in the bullpen, and I'll speak on that in a minute. But as I look at the 1961 Yankees rotation as a whole, they grade out as a above average score of a 3.5 out of 5. Whitey Ford, solid card for an ace, but it's not a card that approaches a 5 out of 5 score or even a 4.5 out of 5. The on base numbers against righties is a little bit high, and he does have a little bit of a power issue when he faces left-handed batters. So that brought down his score. And at best, I think the starting rotation depth is just a little bit above average. So that gets a 3 out of 5. So the 1961 Yankees starting rotation Strat-O-Matic, I grade them out at a 3.5 out of 5. Now let's take a look at the bullpen. Here's some good news for the 1961 Yankees. The closer, Louis Arroyo. There's nothing to complain about with this card. Excellent numbers as far as allowing base runners, and he has no ballpark effect home runs on his card either. So that is a big, big plus for the 1961 Yankees. Louis Arroyo gets a perfect closer grading of a 5 out of 5. Now let's look at the bullpen depth. I'm going to show you the numbers for Hal Reniff, Raleigh Sheldon, and Al Downing. Now, it is Raleigh Sheldon who is actually the one who had over 20 starts for the 1961 Yankees. And you could see he has very effective on base chance numbers on his card. However, as I was looking at this team, I was kind of thinking, I was like, well, I think he serves this team better out of the bullpen. And again, he did have 21 starts in 1961, so he was, I guess you could consider he was primarily a starter, but he does have relief on his card. Um, Al Downing, obviously a lefty. He has no hits on his card against left-handed hitters. All four of the on-base chances are all walks, which is nice because you know he's going to keep the ball in the ballpark as well. Not even bothering you showing his numbers against right-handed hitters because this is not a card that you want him facing right-handed hitters. He is a 4 inning reliever, but that really doesn't help you when you're not effective against one side of the plate. Al Downing in 1961 is strictly just a lefty specialist. You bring him in to get lefties out. And you look at Hal Reniff's card, pretty respectable card. The numbers are just okay when it comes to getting on base. So as I look at the 1961 Yankees bullpen depth, they come out at a good score of a 3.5 out of 5, and the total bullpen score for the 1961 Yankees comes out at a very good score of a 4.25 out of 5. And obviously, a lot of that is driven, as well it should be, by the closer Louis Arroyo. This was just a absolutely terrific card for Arroyo, and really a great card to bring out of your bullpen to close a game. So if we're to look at the 1961 Yankees as a whole, you're going to see that they fall right below my Magic 4 out of 5 rating as they score a 3.9 out of 5. This is definitely a team with some holes in it. As I spoke on before, I'm not crazy about the lack of ability of the 1-2 hitters in the order of getting on base. I guess I expected and hoped that Maris's and Mantle's hits with multiple base advancement would have been a little bit higher. Otherwise, the middle of the order would have gotten a 5 out of 5, which would have helped the overall offensive score. You've got a issue with the E rating at shortstop and a slight issue at first base with the E rating. And I'm not crazy about the depth in the starting rotation. I think it's just slightly above average. So that is how the 1961 Yankees grade out at a 3.9 out of 5. So that's my report on the 1961 Bronx Bombers. I thank you all for watching. And my next video, I'm going to change things up a little bit and I'm going to build everyone a draft board based on the Strat-O-Matic Baseball Heroes 1 set. Have a good day, everyone.